Hi, Jane. I'm the CEO of New Start. I'm here with Alex, the CTO of Cybercriminals. Hi, Alex. It's really good to have you here.
Hi.
Okay, we're talking about small and medium-sized businesses where we really want to know what is the situation when it comes to hackers? How much of a target are they out there?
I would say they're a big target. We see an increase of attacks. They're also an easy target, unfortunately. This is usually due to a lack of resources and knowledge and awareness in general.
Okay, so what are the biggest threats out there for them?
I would say the biggest attacks are things we've probably all heard about by now is the phishing, malware attacks. Those are attacks that we see a lot happening across the industry. But also disruptive attacks like DDoS or disruptive attacks that will hurt their business by taking down a website, for example.
And what about ransomware?
Ransomware we see very frequently. This is a very profitable business model,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for hackers or malicious actors. And this is something that's happens on a daily basis.
How big is the problem?
I would say very big. If you look at numbers in Europe on SMEs, we see around 61% of those businesses are affected by cyber attacks on a yearly basis. So I would say it's a fairly big problem.
And what is the impact? So what does this mean? What?
Yeah. So the impact out of those businesses that are being attacked, around 60% will end up going bankrupt within a 6-month period after the attack. So I would say it's a fairly big problem.
Yeah. So that is a huge, huge problem. When it comes to these attacks, is it a case of small business owners not having the resource?
Yeah, I would say so. Often they lack resources, obviously, the budget as well for those resources. It's also a case of where, obviously businesses don't really want to look at it sometimes because of these reasons.
So what you're saying is they'd sooner ignore it than actually face up to the responsibility of actually having something to do about it.
Yeah, unfortunately so. This is something we've seen a lot of times across the industry, and it's sort of, if you don't look, it doesn't exist type of behavior for SMEs, unfortunately.
So is it also a case that they actually don't know what to do about it, that it is a case of them literally putting their head in the sand?
Yeah, it is. By sort of ignoring it, it's something that seems far away. But like I just said, it's a big problem in Europe. It's something that's increasing over the last few years and it's continued to increase in the coming next few years and periods.
So what can you do about it?
So what you can do about it is basically start with a good overview to see where are you lacking in your business. And this is where one of our services could help and assist to get a sort of a cyber risk overview to see where is your risk in your organization.
So what do you actually do? Can you break that down for me?
So what we do is we scan a company from an external perspective. We also use data from MasterCard. This data has a 99.1% accuracy rate on its IT profile. So we basically take a scan of your organization from an external perspective. And then we run several cybersecurity checks over those results and to assess the cyber risk here.
So you're actually looking at the environment from the outside. So what a hacker could actually see on an organization.
Yeah, it's exactly the same view, the same, I would say in some cases, same approach. It's just reconnaissance, basically. Important to know, we never enter any organization, so we just take everything from an external perspective.
Everything that you can see on a company, so everything that a hacker would see, that's what you're
everything
saying.
That's presented to the internet,
Yeah. And then what do you do? Is it a case of you are prioritizing that, you're giving it a risk rating? Can you talk to me about exactly what that report looks like?
Yeah. So from our report, you'll get a cyber risk rating. So this cyber risk rating will give you an idea of how good or how bad the situation is at that moment. The score will also give you an overview of what is the risk attached to your business. If it's, let's say, a very bad score concerning, let's say, an F or a 0 nearby, that will likely end up in an organization being breached somewhere in the coming years. The other thing we'll provide, obviously, is the findings or the issues. So this will give the customer some sort of overview of where to start and what they should do next, really.
And you break that down into bite-sized chunks and also you put it in layman's terms. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we try to make everything as understandable as possible. So we really try to cater towards our audience. And try to bridge that gap between something that's very technical, very complex, and make it understandable for people that also are not that involved into any IT or cybersecurity business.
So can this be used for someone who wants a snapshot, on say, just an ad hoc basis? They want to really understand, well, what is my risk rating right now? Or can it be used by someone who wants a monthly report or even a per minute report?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we provide reports that are basically a snapshot of your organization. This will give you a score and an indication of what's happening in your organization. We also provide a more, like you said, a more monthly service where we provide this report with all the findings, all the details. So organizations could try and fix those by themselves, or they get help from us by remediation.
So you've got your risk rating report and you get a D. What does that mean?
Yeah, good question. So when you get a D or an F or even a C, I would say you're at risk. It means that we have a heightened risk of getting breached or getting attacked. Or
So you've
getting
got to do something about it. It's like, don't sit idle, get onto it.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So if my business has a limited security budget, I'm a small business owner. I don't want to spend much money. If I'm being completely frank, I don't want to spend much money on cybersecurity. I want to do business securely. How do I do that with your solution?
So like we said earlier, you get a cyber risk score, you get the findings. However, what you also do is you prioritize these findings for you. So we give you an idea of what to fix now, what to fix next. And some of these things maybe you want to evaluate or leave as they are. We will give you as much guidance as possible to see what you really need to fix in order to be secure.
So can an organization, if they take on board like a CyberMonk's MasterCard solution, this risk scoring, which is effectively what this product is that we're talking about here today, how does it help them improve their security?
Yeah, so we always provide a plan, an action plan. So this will give you what to fix now, what to fix next, what to fix later, or evaluate later. This will give you easy steps to, what you're gonna act upon next. We also provide extensive support and knowledge base on some of these issues or all of the issues that we can find. And you can follow those steps and fix those issues yourself if you're technically inclined, I would say.
Okay.
If not, we have a support team to help you. We have omni-channel support, over 40 languages supported. And we have a remediation team available as well.
So you're breaking it down so it's understandable for a small business owner. Like it could be a micro business owner, it could be someone with like literally one person, or it could be someone who has a much larger organization, whether they have someone who is a technical IT manager or whether it's somebody who isn't. It is that easy. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. So we do provide several packages. We provide packages on the report itself, which is really made to be understandable by anyone really. But we also complement that by portal. So if we have someone who really likes to click through the portal and figure it out themselves, we have this portal as well. It's something we see that mostly people that are slightly technical like to use.
Yeah.
And we provide this as a bundle as well. So if you have, let's say, an IT person in your organization, they could make use of the portal and the management could read the report to see what's going on.
So Alex, say I have an online shop. I'm a small business owner. I've got an online shop. How could this be a concern? Why would it matter?
Yeah, good question. I mean, obviously, when you have an online shop, this is really where you earn your money. So when this gets interrupted in any way, that could cause a lot of damages. So some of the things we've seen is online shops which do very well. However, we've seen issues where the payment vehicle could be easily replaced by someone who's skilled, like a hacker, for their own payment vehicle. And there's many cases where we've seen that these SMEs only find out after a while because it takes them a while to realize that payments are not going their way but another way.
They're being siphoned off. So with an attacker, an adversary, what we call an adversary in the middle, that type of attack.
Yeah. Man-in-the-middle attacks are very common in this.
Yeah. And that's something that the risk rating, the report, the scans that you're doing can actually help avoid if the, say in this case, the online business owner actually takes action on the priorities that you're recommending. Yeah,
certainly. This is where we provide the action plan, risk score, and all the issues. Because we take a scan from the outside, we look at the same things any hacker or malicious actor would look at.
So it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's like, why would you want to risk like not having that revenue from all of the hard work that you're doing, simply by not taking action on a report, or simply by procuring a service that can give you that information.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always refer to it like a house. You don't leave your door open or your window
Yes.
open. You always take a look to make sure that's closed. And that's sort of the same thing what we're doing here.
Now, I want to talk about Shopify, and I want to talk about Stripe, because some organizations out there actually say that they don't need a solution like this because they have those measures in place. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so this is something we hear often. So obviously, by using those solutions or similar solutions, organization already takes some certain measures.
Yeah.
However, those solutions are not there to protect you.
Yes.
They will do their best, obviously, but this is not their main goal. The other part of it is that your organization does not only consist of those solutions. So there's also other elements like email, your website itself. So even if you have maybe an integration from Stripe, if your website is affected,
Yeah.
they can replace this obviously by something that they've created themselves, hackers, I mean. So by just using those solutions, it doesn't mean you're completely safe.
Okay. Regulations are hugely complex. We have more regulations coming at us, and particularly when we're thinking about small businesses, we can't keep on top of those. We're expected to. And then obviously if something goes wrong, how does your solution help us to navigate such a complex environment when it comes to regulations and obviously the fines that can come from them if we're not taking adequate security measures?
Well, so our reports help you obviously to understand your situation as a whole, to find the findings and see what kind of vulnerabilities you might have across your organization from an external perspective. By doing so, you already comply to a lot of elements from these regulations itself. It also shows that you're doing something about your cybersecurity posture,
Yeah.
which helps obviously in these regulations as well, where you can show, even if you had a data breach, that you've done enough or you've done as much as possible, which could be expected from an organization like yourself.
I want to ask this question. Will that reduce my insurance if I'm going to an insurance broker? Will that have an impact on that?
It could. What we provide is a audible report, so you can use it as evidence showing that your organization has for example, that you score well on cyber risk, and you've taken measures to do so.
Okay, so how do I actually go about buying this solution? Because buying security solutions is really complicated.
Yeah, that's part of what we do, is try to make it accessible to any organization. So what you have to do is just go to our website or our marketplace. Follow a few steps. We always like to say it's 3 clicks away from purchasing your cybersecurity solution.
Okay, so can you be a small business and be secure?
Yeah, absolutely. There's ways we can, by using the report, closing off any important issues. This will give you a very stable base to start from in your cybersecurity journey.
Well, that's great news for small business owners. It's just like buy the report, take action on it. You're making it so simple for them. It is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.